Good morning, extended school year students. It's Mrs. Roberge here. Today we are going to start to put some things together. So far we have looked at personal narratives and what they mean on Moby Max through those assignments. But we have also looked at the writing process through the brain pop that we did yesterday. So how are those two topics related? That's important, right? So we were kind of bouncing around. They definitely are related because in order to write a personal narrative essay, you have to know what the writing process is so you can go about doing that correctly. So let's review what a personal narrative essay is. And we'll start right here. The personal narrative essay is about you, so be yourself. Let the real you out. So think about that for a second. If you're going to write something about yourself, you're going to have to think of a story that you'd want to tell. And a personal narrative can be about anything. It can be something funny, something sad, something great, something not so great, an exciting time, a time where things were weird. I think we could all probably write an essay right now about what it's like to live in a pandemic, and we'd have a lot to say. Number 2. Give the readers a hook in the beginning, something to make them want to keep reading. I don't know about you, but if I open a book and the first sentence is boring, doesn't get me, I am not going to be excited about reading that book. Number 3, be descriptive. Use great imagery and let your writing flow. So this here, number 3, this is related to the work that we did last week, some of us did, about figurative language, because figurative language is a great way to help make your writing more interesting. Finally, number 4, above all, show, don't tell. Now, that also relates to number 3 here, because you want that imagery. You want to describe what you see, using your words. Let your audience feel like they're there. Narrative essentials. So number 1, create a basic plot. So what's going to happen to somebody? In order to make a personal narrative successful, it needs to be about something significant. I probably wouldn't write a personal narrative about brushing my teeth in the morning. I don't think anybody would want to read that. Number 2, hook and satisfy readers. Just like we talked about on the last page, you have to have that first sentence to get people to really want to read what you wrote. Number 3, sequence time and events. That means things have to go in order. We're going to use words like next, then, after that, phrases that transition from one event to the next event. Number 4, describe the action using sensory details. You can use figurative language there to develop key moments. You want to say what you saw, what you felt, what you smelled, things like that. Number 5, show close-up details. Again, that has to do with your senses, what people look like, how people's attitudes are, things like that. And finally, set the right mood. So that's an interesting 6th category here, because books definitely do have moods. Books, stories, movies. If you start watching a movie and the color is very dark, you might know that maybe it's a scary movie. If you start watching a movie and it's very bright and sunny and happy, you might know that that's maybe more of a family movie or a cartoon. Oops. Let's talk about the writing process. That's listed right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to be focusing on this part today, but just quickly, remember the 5 steps to the writing process are pre-write, that's planning your writing. Writing, that's writing a first draft. Revising, which is changing your writing to make it better. And also it's fixing grammar, because you, me, your parents, everybody, we all make grammar mistakes, and it's great to have somebody look at your work before you hand it in. 4 is edit, check your writing. And 5 is publish, share your writing, or in a school situation, that might be handing your writing in to your teacher. So today, your job is going to be step 1, which is the pre-writing task. So for this assignment, you can write about anything that has happened in your life. It can be sad, it can be happy. I am open-minded. But here are the things you're going to want to think about when you think about what story you're going to tell me. Number 1, right here. What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Who will read my writing? And this is important because you need to think of your audience. If you're writing something for your teacher, you're probably going to write it differently than if you were writing something for a friend. You know, if I text my friends, I might say something like, yo, what's up? But if I had to send an email to my boss, Mr. Field, at the middle school, I would say, good morning, Mr. Field. Can you help me with this, please? So understand that the audience is very important. What else do I need to know to begin? So for these purposes today, you're writing about yourself. There's probably not a lot that you're going to need to go figure out. But if you were writing a paper for history or science, you might have information you need to find. And finally, who can I talk to about my ideas? That's a great question. And when you're in school, you can talk to your peers, your teachers, and, you know, now that we're doing distance learning, you can talk to your family. If you have siblings, you're also welcome to talk to me or any of your other extended school year teachers about your ideas. Those are all great people. Friends, text with them, call with them, whatever works for you. But I think you all know who in your life would be open to listening to your ideas. So I'm going to model now how I might start a personal narrative about myself. You will all have access to this same document that you see on the screen right now. And of course, if it's not printable at your home, I totally understand. You can just write it on a separate sheet of paper, or you can type it out and just label, you know, in your Word document, topic, and then write what you need to, beginning, write what you need to, etc. Just put these labels and fill them in. That is totally fine with me. Do whatever is easiest for you, as always. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and we'll move this around as we need to. So the story I'm going to write about today is last summer when I went to the animal shelter and I got my kitten, and his name is Kennedy. And here's a picture of him just to show you my little Kennedy. He's a very good kitty, although he is a little bit crazy sometimes, but we love him and we're really happy that we got him. So today is 7/15/2020. And I'll be honest with you guys, I hope you write neater than me. It can be a little difficult to write on the iPad with the pen, and I know that some of my writing probably looks a little messy. I apologize for that. So I'm going to start filling in these boxes. I already told you guys what my subject's going to be. So my topic's going to be adopting a kitten. My title, for now, and titles can be changed, remember. I'm just going to call it Kennedy Comes Home. That's his name, Kennedy. And when he came to live with us, he was coming home. The characters in this story were me, my husband, and his name's Nick, Kennedy, of course, and my sister-in-law. Her name is Emmy because she came with me to the animal shelter. So let's look at how is the story going to progress, right? Oops, move this up. In the beginning, so how do you think this story started? Well, in the beginning, my friend worked for an animal shelter. And she had let me know that there were a lot of kittens available. And so I started to think that maybe I should adopt one. And then in the middle of the story, that's probably the part where I actually went to the shelter and picked out Kennedy. A lot of things happened during that time, though, that I would have to add details when I start to write my actual story, because there was action at the shelter. There were lots of cats I looked at, and one of the cats that I picked up jumped out of my arms and ran under the cages, and then Kennedy was very scared and nervous and in the back of a cage, and that's one of the reasons I wanted him, because I thought that he needed to get out of the cage. So I would definitely have that detail. Kennedy hid, and also his original name was Guy, not Kennedy. So that's something I would put in the story. So then for the end of my story, I would have to write about bringing him home, and introducing him to the dog, and how he hid before he was comfortable. He hid a long time before he was comfortable in our basement. And then I would also have to have one more important part of my ending, which would be that eventually Kennedy totally fit into the family, and he is a welcome addition, and him and the dog are best friends, and I would go into all of that, but these are just some examples. Let's talk about the sensory details a little bit. What did I see? Well, I was at an animal shelter, so I definitely saw lots of cats, cages, other people hoping to adopt, workers that were there helping, the volunteers. What did I hear? I heard a lot of people, again, talking about the cats. I also heard meowing. There wasn't a lot to hear besides cats and the people, I'll be honest about that. And then what did I feel? I felt excited. I also felt, if you want to talk more sensory, like on my skin, lots of kitten fur when I was, petting and holding the kittens. They were all very soft. That was really, really fun to play with all the kittens. Some of the things I smelled, well, it's an animal shelter, so it smelled like animals. And it wasn't like a bad smell, but you knew that there were a lot of animals living in there. What did I taste? I will say, and this could be the same for you when you go to write your story, this wasn't really relevant. It didn't really apply to my story in this situation, because I had nothing to do with eating. I was in an animal shelter. So if that happens to you with any of the sensory details, that is totally understandable. Your mission now is to try this on your own. You are going to fill out this same type of sheet again in any way that is convenient for you, and get it back to me. And then tomorrow, if we finish this today, we will go on to the second step of the writing process. Do your best. Good luck. If you need help, I am here for you as always. You can get me on Zoom, or you can get me on Teams, or send me an email. That is totally fine too. Let's see what we come up with, and we're going to work together to make it great. All right, I know this was kind of a long video, but it was a longer lesson we needed to go over. So I'm sorry that I took up a whole 15 minutes of your time, but please use the second 15 minutes to start working on this sheet. All right, guys, thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon.